Right now, you probably owe money to someone. A bank, a credit card company, a student loan provider. And if you're like most people, you don't think much about it because everyone around you is in the same situation. But here's the question nobody is asking. What if that feeling of everyone does it was carefully engineered? What if the idea that debt is just a normal part of life was one of the most profitable lies ever sold to the world? Because the numbers tell a terrifying story. The average American household carries over $100,000 in debt. In the UK, personal debt just crossed £2 trillion. In Australia, household debt relative to income is among the highest on the planet. And yet nobody panics. Nobody protests. Everyone just pays their monthly minimums and moves on. That should shock you. And by the end of this, it will. Because there is a hidden mechanism behind all of this. A system built over decades, piece by piece, that turned borrowing money into a cultural identity. And once you see how it was built, you cannot unsee it. The final piece of this puzzle is the one that changes everything, and most people will never discover it. It didn't start with credit cards. It started with a war. After World War II, the United States had a problem. Factories built for warfare needed new purpose. Millions of soldiers were returning home, and the economy needed fuel fast. So the government, working alongside banks and manufacturers, made a calculated decision. They would turn ordinary Americans into consumers, not savers, consumers. The GI Bill made mortgages easy. Car loans became standard. Buy now, pay later appeared in furniture stores across the country. Within a single decade, borrowing money shifted from something shameful, something your grandparents would whisper about, to something modern, something aspirational. Debt became the price of the American dream. But that's only part of the story. Here's what most people miss. America didn't keep this system to itself. It exported it through Hollywood, through global banking agreements, through multinational credit companies expanding into Europe, Canada, Australia, and beyond. The idea traveled. The message was simple and seductive. You deserve it now. You don't have to wait. Think about that for a second. An entire value system, patience, saving, delayed gratification was quietly replaced. And it happened so gradually that the generation growing up inside it never even noticed the shift. By the 1980s, something remarkable had occurred. Credit cards went from being exclusive products for wealthy businessmen to being mailed unsolicited to millions of households. In 1970, there were around 4 million Visa cards in circulation. By 1990, that number had crossed 250 million globally. The infrastructure of debt had become the infrastructure of daily life. And then something unexpected happened. The system hit a wall in 2008. The housing market collapsed. Banks that had spent decades telling people to borrow more had handed out mortgages to people who could never realistically repay them. Families lost homes. Retirement savings evaporated overnight. In the UK alone, ordinary people lost an estimated £1.4 trillion in wealth. In the US, 10 million households faced foreclosure. This should have been the moment everything changed. The moment the world collectively said enough. We need a different relationship with money. Instead, governments bailed out the banks, not the families, the banks. And within 5 years, lending was back at record levels because the system had become too embedded to dismantle, too profitable to pause. Most people completely missed this part. The 2008 crash wasn't a malfunction. It was proof of just how deeply debt had become the engine of the entire economy. But here's where it gets personal, because this isn't just history. This is happening to you right now in ways you might not recognize. Consider how a $500 monthly car payment feels normal today. How a $30,000 student loan feels like just part of growing up. How carrying a balance on your credit card and paying $80 or $90 a month in interest alone is just background noise in your financial life. You're not making these choices in a vacuum. You were conditioned to make them. Advertising, social media, peer pressure, the design of stores, the structure of checkout pages online, all of it nudges you towards spending money you don't have, on things you don't need, to impress people you barely know. The real reason is even more surprising. Wealthy people, and we're not talking about celebrities, we're talking about genuinely rich families, operate by a completely different rulebook. They use debt strategically, as a tool, only when it builds something that generates more money than it costs. They don't finance depreciating assets. They don't carry credit card balances. And critically, they teach their children these rules. Those lessons don't make it into schools. They don't appear in mainstream financial advice. They stay inside certain circles, passed quietly from one generation to the next. Meanwhile, the rest of the world is taught to equate spending with success. A new car means you made it. A bigger house means you're doing well. The visible markers of wealth are often funded entirely by debt, which means what looks like success from the outside is sometimes the opposite on paper. This small detail changes everything about how you interpret what you see around you. So what is the final piece? The insight that ties all of this together? It's this. The most powerful thing debt does isn't take your money. It takes your time. Every month you spend paying interest on a car loan, a credit card, a payday loan. That money isn't just gone. It's the future version of you that never got built. The $200 a month in credit card interest invested instead over 20 years becomes over $120,000. The $500 car payment redirected into savings becomes a life-changing financial cushion inside a decade. The debt doesn't just cost you dollars, it costs you options, security, freedom, and the system was never designed to tell you that. Here's the hopeful part, and this matters. Awareness is the beginning of escape. Every person who genuinely understands how this mechanism works starts making different decisions. Not perfect decisions, not overnight transformations, but different ones. They pause before financing something. They calculate the true cost of a loan, not just the monthly payment. They start asking, am I buying this because I want it, or because I was told I should want it? The debt culture was built over 70 years. You won't dismantle it in 70 days, but you can step outside it, one choice at a time. The people who do quietly, consistently, without announcing it, are the ones who look back a decade from now and realize they bought themselves something no bank can offer: peace of mind. The world didn't accidentally become addicted to debt. It was guided there, carefully and profitably. But knowing that gives you something most people never get: a real choice. So tell me, when you look at your own life, which part of this system do you think has had the biggest hold on you? Drop your answer in the comments. You might be surprised how many people feel exactly the same way.